we happen to think that the most patriotic thing that you can do, to the extent that we even accept that, phrase, which has been so fetishized, is to, do the moral thing, stand down and stand up with these marginalized communities.
Mobilizing the Guard in our local communities is just an escalation of violence. We've seen just a brutal crackdown on peaceful protesters using their First Amendment rights to gather, to apply their free speech, to organize against racism, against white supremacy, against police brutality in their communities. It's tragic to see violence being continued to use against them to suppress that. And to see our military members being asked to join an already overly militarized police force to really do harm in these communities, I think is really unjust.
All we're trying to do is, encourage folks as a moral duty in the National Guard, potentially if it gets there in the active force, if they're mobilized, to, stand up for Black lives by standing down when it comes to these, what we think are both illegal and unethical orders to mobilize in, the cities here on this side of the ocean.
I think about, the oath that they ask us to take to defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. And nothing about being a domestic police force is in defense of the Constitution. And I would argue that it's just the opposite. If we are preventing people from being able to exercise their constitutional rights, we're being forced into a position of becoming an enemy.
As somebody who's suffering from moral injury, from perpetrating violence and death, I have difficulty sleeping at nights. I have difficulty allowing myself to be happy or find pleasure because I punished myself for what I did in Iraq. And it's all preventable. You could choose not to do it. You're going to put yourself in a bad situation where innocent people get hurt, and you're going to blame yourself, and you're going to be on the wrong side of history. These people are out here trying to protect themselves, trying to stop this vicious harassment, humiliation, and murder of their loved ones in their communities. And they're asking for a reformation, they're asking for a change, and they have every right to.
It is a lot to ask. However, we do believe that it's a moral duty to stand down. For those who don't take that decision, who don't demonstrate that courage, which is a difficult moral courage, decency is always your duty, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a religious guy, a left-wing guy, or a right-wing guy, or a religious, woman, or whomever. This is about basic decency, and the way you act in those streets, you shouldn't be there in the first place, but the way you act in those streets, you have to look yourself in the mirror the next day. That's kind of the rule that I try to apply to myself.
If you refuse orders, there are resources. GI Rights Hotline is a great resource. Military Law Task Force is a great resource. Courage to Resist will help you. You can contact About Face, Veterans Against War. You can contact Veterans for Peace, and we can find you the proper resources to get you the help you need.